So she was like, man, you get tired of anal after so long of living in Atlanta. And I was like, whoa, whoa. It's story time. Let's get it. One of the events I love to attend is Miguel Wilson's Fashion Week in Atlanta in October. Me and my cousin had got tickets. This is when I think we first started going, like maybe a few years ago. Like I think this is like the sixth one now. We had bought like a VIP, like corporate package, and it came with like 8 tickets. So we had a couple extra from a few people who were supposed to go but had to back out. His wife, invites one of her friends. Now, listen, I used to do a lot of work in Atlanta, like photography, host a couple events down there, stuff like that. You meet these people who have these huge, elaborate stories and adventures with celebrities and whatnot. And so her friend was like one of those people. She was basically, she introduced herself as a celebrity massage therapist. Okay. And she had, all kinds of clientele. She had Young Thug, T.I., all these, Atlanta people. Let's just call her Tiddyesha, right? Because she had some, yeah. I guess the night before the first event, which was a black tie, was like a tuxedo event, right? So when I meet her, she, short, really pretty, like I said, big, melons, if you will. And she had these long fingernails. And the first thing I thought of, I was like, if you're a massage therapist, how do you give massages with fingernails? And I'm talking like long to the point where they would curl a little bit. And I'd be like, how do you? Sidebar, a friend just had brought this up to me when I told her this story a while ago. And she was just like, I don't even know how women with long fingernails wipe their butt. You know what I'm saying? Because the fingernails be in the way when you wiping, right? You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, well, maybe they write, back to front. And she was just like, that's nasty. No female wipes back to front. And I'm like, well, how else could they do it? Because the fingernail, listen, I know this is off the story, but it's like, I was stuck on this. The fingernails was too long to wipe. That's actually gonna come into play in the story. The first night, it's like I said, it's a tuxedo event. So we go to that little situation. It was at a hotel, nice little ballroom situation. It was a fashion show. So they was running a little late. So they didn't make it till about halfway through. So when I first put eyes on her, she was really pretty, you know what I'm saying? Put together, all this stuff, but she just talked so much, trying to validate herself, her stories, and all this stuff. And I'm just one of them people who I'm just not impressed by the tales of celebrities. I kind of still feel like they real people who just had, more money or more access or more power. I don't feel like they have special powers, I guess. So she would just, the whole night, she just went on, oh, and I did this, and, I did that, and I worked with the Braxtons, and then I did this, and I did some stuff for the Turners, and some of these people I ain't even know, right? And then she was one of them super zodiac people. Any person she met, oh, hey, how are you? I can tell you're Scorpio moon rising, sun setting over caterpillar's flesh. Just weird stuff the whole night. Oh, you're a Taurus, aren't you? Oh, I can tell you're lower rising in the sun moon with the east sky and the serpent air. Yeah, yes, yeah, I can tell. I know these things. I'm also a witch. She was just like that. So, but she was super aggressive, very touchy-feely, very basically trying to put the moves on me early. And I wasn't really interested because literally it was like bringing sand to the beach because there were tons of beautiful women at this event. The fashion show tuxedo event story was over and they had a little cigar lounge afterwards. So we in the cigar lounge and I'm a mover and a shaker. When you put me in rooms like that, I talk to everyone, I move around the room. And so she would just be following me from conversation to conversation. I would go talk to somebody else. Here she would come, trying to follow me and then putting her hand around my waist like she was my woman. And then I would be like, hey, you stay away, and she would just keep doing it, right? Sidebar, Storytime hoodies and crew necks, t-shirts, and all that stuff is available in the merch store. Please grab one, support a brother. I need it. The first night, so we finished up with the cigar lounge. My cousin, he hey, let's go get some food. We go out to this restaurant. I mean, like, the one thing about Atlanta I love, you can always find somewhere good to eat. It don't matter if it's 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. So we went to this spot and it was like hookah and what was it? It was like lobster. It was like a trendy spot. Like they did something with everything lobster or something like that. And it was like lobster on everything. And it was, I mean, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning and it's like we getting lobster bisque and biscuits and all this stuff. So I mean, I enjoyed the food, but she's sitting there and she's just like very talkative, very, like I said, she was rubbing my thigh and, you know, all this stuff. And I'm like, in my head, I was like, maybe I should smash. But then I was like, she kind of irritating. So I rode with my cousin to this spot, but she was like, I'm staying by where you're at. I can take you home. I get in her car and she taking me back. Now I'm in the car and I'm looking around the car and I'm like, you a celebrity. I mean, like I'm trying to do the math because the car ain't mathing with the money she done told me she making. She told me she makes like anywhere from $500 to $1,500 per session. And she does, you know, 4 to 5 sessions a day. And she's booked for months. So she's in probably, what is that called? She's probably in like, what is it? The Mercedes GLC, the one little short SUV. And it's probably, I promise you, I'm not trying to talk about her. I'm just telling you what I saw. Okay. So it had to been, so when this happened, it was probably 2018 maybe, or 2020, something like that. So the car had to be a 1987 with 767 million miles on it and had pliers on the inside so she could open the door, and she had a Panasonic pull-out radio inside of it. You know, remember the ones you pull out because, you know, you could take it with you so nobody steal your radio? Like I said, the math wasn't mathing, y'all. And then she had a dog in the car. And I'm like, you left this dog in the car the whole time? You know what I'm saying? Oh, he's fine. He's used to it. You know, da-da-da. So she drops me off at the hotel. She pulls up. And so I'm like, all right, thank you. You know what I'm saying? You want me to cash up you some money? You want me to send you some money for the gas money? She's like, no, you don't have to do that. And I'm like, you sure? It's not a problem. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, well, if you want to, you can just go ahead. Here's my, so I'm like, I sent her like $25, $30 or something like that. No big deal. And she's like, oh, you about to go in? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, you know, I thought we were going to hang out a little bit and talk or whatnot. And so I'm thinking at this point, she's trying to get me to invite her up to the room. But I'm telling you, little stuff like that throw me off. Like I'd be just like, nah, no, I'm kind of tired. I got to get ready for tomorrow because it was like 5 events in like 3 days. So I was like, I got to get my stuff ready for tomorrow. So she was just like, oh, okay, alrighty. I get out, I go into the hotel, go up to my room, get in the bed, go to sleep. I wake up around maybe like 6 o'clock or whatever in the morning, and they got, breakfast at the hotel, but they had that watery orange juice where, you hit the button and water come out and then yellow stuff come out. And I'll be like, that's not orange juice. That's weird. That's like, Big Bird blood. Ugh. So I'm like, I'm about to walk down to Walgreens and get me some orange juice. So I walk out the hotel and I see her car still sitting there, like in the parking lot. So I'm a little perplexed. And I'm like, did she get a room here? You know what I'm saying? Like after we left or whatnot, did she get a room? I walk up on the car. As I'm walking to the car, I could see the dog sort of moving around in the car. I'm like, man, this girl done left this dog in this car again. So I get to the car and, she got like these blockers on the windows around, but it was like a little section where you could see through. And so I'm looking in there and I could see the dog bouncing around, but I also see like she didn't recline the seats all the way back and she has like a pallet in there, and I see like a little coffee maker, a little microwave, she got on night clothes and she's asleep. And so I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, is this girl living in her car? Look, catch me in part 2. This one goes off the rails. So catch me in part 2. Meet me over on YouTube right now. Hurry up. Grab your stuff.